Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
I've lost my voice. Let me just get right into it. This is not me trying to be sexy and saying, ladies, I am
feeling
representative of two sexy, handsome, single men.
Yeah.
One's a Jew, one's a Christian.
Hey, how you doing?
I got Adam. I got Vinny.
Yeah. Welcome to the
sexy
PBD podcast
in their own
late
way.
night. Yeah.
But I can't. This is not intentional. Okay. Having said that, we have a lot to cover because yesterday may have been the worst 60 minutes of Kamala Harris's campaign. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen the 60 Minutes interview. It's actually not 60 minutes. You can only do about 12 minutes. But there was 3 or 4 clips that we'll talk about that could be, it's catastrophic and good for the guy for actually interviewing her properly. I have a feeling I know why he did that, but I'll give my opinion when we get into it if I have any of my voice left. Musk gets on Tucker and he says something ridiculously crazy that's got everybody talking on why he believes they can't get Trump to win because there's 2 men who are both very successful. One of them is worth over $150 billion, and the other one is also doing okay financially. He's only worth like $10 billion, $15 billion. He's going to be all right, though. We may grow GoFundMe for the guy. And he says these guys are afraid of Epstein. You should see who he mentions. Then this hurricane started off as a Cat 2, a Cat 3, now a Cat 5, 180 winds. The mayor of Tampa said, get out because you could die. She flat out said that. She said, get out. You're going to die if you stay. Can you imagine her? She says, I've never said anything like this before. She's been living in Florida her entire life.
Yeah.
The hurricane's coming. Everybody here is getting ready for it.
She's right. Sometimes people don't take it seriously.
Yeah. So she's doing her part. And then there was a feud with Kamala Harris and DeSantis. Kamala saying, we try to get a hold of DeSantis. He doesn't want to pick up his phone call. DeSantis says, I'm trying to do your job that you're not doing. And there's a back and forth. You have to hear how DeSantis handled it. Home prices. A lot of mess going on with home prices. We have to talk about that. Amazon is deciding to lay off 14,000 managers, not just employees, managers. That's a savings of $3 billion, according to Morgan Stanley. Star TV anchors are on notice. You have to see what kind of money they're getting and they're not getting. Some of these guys, CNN and MSNBC, is just coming out to them and saying, listen, you ain't getting a raise this year. Like, pump the brakes. You know, going down 40% is considered a raise. Keeping a job today is considered a raise. Wall Street Journal comes up with a story, which we have to talk about. The great Florida migration is coming undone. What do they mean by this? Tom's got some thoughts on this. And as Amazon's Prime Big Deal returns, here's why more Americans than ever are shopping on the site. And by the way, if I was to ask you a question, what percentage of Americans have bought something from Amazon the last 45 days, what do you think the percentage would be? Don't answer. When we get to it, we'll talk about that. But listen, our folks here are smart. They know what to go. They go to vtnews.com, vtnews.ai, and ask AI what the answer is, and they'll get it. But Musk said some stuff about FEMA. We have to talk about FEMA. Diddy's got some issues right now with Tupac's family. Jamie Dimon denies claims that he endorsed Trump. And there's a bunch of other stories that we have to get to, which we will. Having said that, before I get into the podcast, let me give you guys an update here about election night. So election night, that's coming up November 5th. It's going to be the biggest party in the country, minus the one that Trump and Kamala host together. I have 4 guests that I'm announcing that are now going to be at the election night with us. We're going to have some of the old timers that are coming back. So those guys are going to come back no matter what. They'll be with us while we go live on the podcast from 7 p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe even later. It's going to be one of those marathons. And by the way, it's so awesome seeing other people who are business podcasts are now saying, we're going to host a live event as well. No problem. We like to lead people. We're leaders amongst leaders, and it's exciting. But ours will be a kick-ass event that we put together here. Here's who's going to be here with us. You got Brian Callen will be here. You got Sammy Gravano will be here to give his take from a mob's perspective. You got Michael Francis that will be here. You got Dave Smith that will be here and many other names, but I'm going to drop it to you every podcast who else is going to come here. So don't be the person that's waiting till last minute when this thing sells out and then you're saying, but I couldn't get a ticket. By the way, the super VIPs will get a chance to meet all the speakers. Why? Because all the super VIPs will be going there to eat. So watch this video, Rob, put it on 1.25, and then we'll get into all the stories. Here's a new building and where the party will be held at. Go ahead.
Okay, I got a big announcement to make, and the good news is you're the first to know, and you'll be the first to be invited. So the property I'm on right now, we've been working on buying this property for the last 3 years. It's one of its last kind in America. Why? It's on 11 acres. It's got 2 hangars. It's on an airport. Upgrades of $7 million made here. That's going to be the new headquarters of Valuetainment, Manek, David Consulting, the podcast, the whole 9. And what we wanted to do in a special way that you're going to hear about this 2 days before I announce it publicly on the PBD podcast, we want to find a way to celebrate this as a new headquarters with inviting you to an event on November 5th, which is election night. A lot of different things people will be talking about, business owners. What's going to happen if it goes this way? What's going to happen if it goes that way? So imagine 2,000 people being here. Let me show you around. Some of you will have a private meeting with me. That's the elite. That's going to be a few of you. Some will get a private tour of the entire office from us. There's a hangar in the back. So you come up here. Imagine there's going to be a couple major tents, 40 feet by 100 feet, where some of the people that are buying general tickets will be there. But over here inside the hangar is where the podcast will be held. This entire thing will be open like it is right now. Inside of it, myself, the PBD podcast crew, some of the super VIPs will be invited to go upstairs in a section that we have that's got a bar, a restaurant, food, kitchen. You're eating, you're watching it from all the way up there while we're doing the podcast down here in the hangar. So imagine in this room, there's 1,000 people, right? While we're going through this whole thing. Conversation, it's going to be from 6 p.m. is when it starts, all the way up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because a lot of things that's going to be going on. And by the way, do you know why we're not cutting this? We're on an airport. These are planes. We have to hear because right here is the airport. And FYI, Messi plays right there at that stadium right behind us. So you got 48 hours before I announce this publicly. There's 5 ticket tiers that you can purchase. Each one's got more things to offer. But even locally, there's general tickets to buy for just $75. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your family, bring your friends. There's one caveat after you buy the ticket. When you buy the ticket and you come on November 5th, you have to wear Future Looks Bright gear. I'm talking Future Looks Bright hat, a shirt, doesn't matter. You're gonna have to show I got some kind of Future Looks Bright gear because we want everybody here to spread the message and the energy of optimism around the world, back to their states, wherever you're going to be. So November 5th, click on the link above or below, get registered. And if you're watching this saying, well, Pat, I like to travel private. Can I bring my private jet here? 5 of you guys will be after you buy your ticket. Then you can ask us, and that's only available to the tickets at the highest level possible to bring your jet and park it here. So having said that, get your tickets, and I cannot wait to see you November 5th, 6 p.m. at our new headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Here's all I will say to you. I dare you to miss it. No, I'm telling you right now. I dare you. I'm telling you to your face. I dare you to miss it. For 4 years, you're going to say, I will never miss it again. Because the next one we do like this is 4 years from now, like the World Cup, which will be in 2028. I dare you to miss it. For those of you guys that are wise and smart enough to know what's going to happen and the crazy stuff that we're going to be covering, you'll be attending. And we can't wait to have you guys there. We cannot wait to spend the entire night with you, your friends, your family together, all night talking about what's going to happen in 2025 and on. So, Rob, put the link below for people to go get registered. If you're listening to this online, go to 5990live.com, go to events, purchase a ticket, and we'll see you there. Anyways, let's get right into it. Rob, first thing I want you to do is, yesterday, Kamala Harris does a 60-minute interview. Now, to be fair, this was an actual interview.
Yes.
The host would not let her get away with anything. He followed up with the questions back to back to back. I'm going to show a clip. I think we're going to go through 3 of them. One of them has to do about immigration. One of them has to do when he asks if you own a gun. And you should see her face when he asks the follow-up question, have you ever used it? I mean, you have to see the way she answers the question. And there's a couple other ones that she gets very uncomfortable, but he does a phenomenal job in this interview. And I have my own reasons why I believe he is pushing as hard as he is, but we'll have here plenty of commentary. So let's get right into it, Rob. Which one do you want to start off with first?
Would you like the child tax credit, the border issue?
Let's start off with the border first. Go
and
for
this
it.
is Bill Whitaker, by the way.
This is Bill Whitaker from
Philly.
60 Minutes. Go for it.
Rob's stomping ground.
Well, I think the media has been taking a lot of heat. There were 2 debates where the media took heat. I mean, let's face it. We don't need to go into detail, but the president debate, the VP debate, the media is taking heat for being a lapdog of the left. And what you have here is 60 Minutes. And Bill Whitaker, if you know Bill Whitaker's history, he's a straight up guy. You know, he's got his slant left, but he's been a straight up interviewer. And that's typically the history of the 60 Minute staff. And what I see here is there's a lot of cuts in here and there's a lot of edits, but he is trying to get her to answer the question for the American people, and I applaud what he did. And when you look at her reaction, she's angry. You could tell that was anger and that was reaction coming out there. And she's trying to do what all politicians do, that she's not very unique at, but trying to, well, we need, and we need Congress. And so when you get the hands waving and the restarting of sentences and bringing in third topics, which is what she was doing, you know, she's got no answer. So I gave her a screaming F on that. And he's trying to follow up and get her to answer the question. That's how I process this. And I was shocked that it was allowed to go out on broadcast like this. I would have thought that CBS would have stepped on it, suppressed it, or spun it differently. But I actually, you know, was favorably impressed with Bill Whitaker.
Vinny.
Yeah, I was impressed too. And you know, I don't think, Tom, that she got the questions beforehand. That looks like a genuine upset. Like, how dare you question me when you know that I failed so bad? I think it's, I don't want to say day late, dollar short, but we've had 4 years and now it's like everything is falling apart. You know what I mean? The wheels are off and then now they're starting to come around. But it's a good question, Pat. Why are they letting this air so late? Why would they let her get exposed like this so late?
It's actually not late because there's still 3.5 weeks left. So trust me, the news cycle right now, by tomorrow, but not by tomorrow, by Thursday, you forgot about this. It's done. Mm-hmm. Everything right now is jab, and you just have to survive these jabs. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a good hook. You got caught.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a joke. By the way, go play the next clip, Rob, about flipping positions. Go play the clip about flipping positions where Tom.
That's weak. That's like she's running for mayor. I hear mayor and governor candidates that do a better job of spinning back to, we all know what the problem is. We got to get to consensus and serve the people. Meanwhile, the people are saying, well, wait. Let's get back to the question. Tell me what you're going to do about that, because I'm very interested in it. That was weak. That was
Adam. What do you think?
I see mayor candidates do a better job spinning back.
So she can run and hide all she wants from the border, but the Biden-Harris administration has to own that problem. I mean, just look at the stats. I mean, whatever number you come up with is very believable. 10 million, 15 million, 20, whatever the number is, you know, it's kind of like just come on in. But we hear the term, oh, he's a puppet, she's a puppet. Oh, they're not really the ones running the government. They're a puppet. Well, this is a living, breathing example of an actual puppet. She didn't earn this nomination. You know, if Biden was able to walk upstairs and formulate sentences, he would still be the nominee. She was coronated to basically usurp Biden, and he reluctantly sort of exited stage left after Nancy Pelosi told him that he was ruining the down ballot ticket after the Obamas of the world.
Adam, what do you think about what she said here?
Well, what I'm saying is that she's not saying anything. She doesn't have policy perspective. She doesn't have anything tangible to run on. She's just repeating talking points. And if you saw over the weekend, her teleprompter went out.
Yeah.
And she froze. She's like, 32.
Play that
What
clip,
do I do now?
You saw the life come out of her eyes because she's like, I don't know how to do
She can't avoid
Watch
the
this.
economy. She
Play
can't
this
avoid
clip.
inflation. And she can't avoid not knowing what she's talking
Remember
about.
his
Go ahead.
number? 32. Today we got 32 days until the election.
Oh, God. Ready?
And the teleprompter goes out now. 32, man.
32 days.
32 days.
Jeopardy song.
Okay, we got some business to do.
No, she's gone.
All right.
Hip hop.
32 days.
You don't have the ability to tell
And
a
we
story.
know
No. Just tell
we
a story.
will do it.
We will do it.
Put the sheep around her. So many sheep.
And this is going to be a very tight race until the very end. This is going to be a
Just to
very
look it up.
tight race
That
until
is
the
it.
very end. We are the
Because
underdog.
you can pause it right there. What happens when you're in a conversation with a world leader and the conversation goes in a direction you did not expect? What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to give you questions in advance when you're meeting with G?
Nope.
You think they're going to give you questions in advance when you meet with, a Putin, or if you choose to meet with Putin or any of these guys, no, you're not. So then the question becomes, either the people that say you're just a puppet are right, or you're just not qualified for the job. Rob, play the clip about, which one is this? Is this the Glock?
No, this is the Glock, though. This clip.
Play
right
the
here.
Glock clip. Watch. You know when somebody asks you have a gun, it's kind of like this. Ask me, you have a car.
Yeah.
Ask me.
Do you have a car?
I do.
Okay, what kind is it?
I have a Ford.
Okay, what kind of Ford though? What?
No, but I have a Ford.
I understand that, Pat. But what kind of
Do you ever
Ford?
drive your Ford?
Is it a Mustang?
Of course I drive my Ford.
At a shooting range? You drove your Ford at a shooting range?
I drive my Ford in a freeway like everybody else.
Yeah.
By the way, that is the...
Well, we're in Dallas, sir. You only
who
have
the hell
tollways.
says I have a Glock?
Yeah.
So hold on. Do you think she's lying about having a gun?
I don't
because
think-
I don't think this serves her constituency. It's not
she
like
doesn't-
it's not like the single cat ladies are
do
like,
you
yes.
believe she owns... You think...
I don't believe whatever you're about to say.
No.
The answer is no.
But do you believe...
I don't believe her.
Do you believe she owns a Glock?
I don't think that's something you just make up. You think that is?
I don't.
Glock is, by
Oh.
the way, if you go back and you think about guns from hip hop, rap,
Yeah.
you'll hear Glock.
She grew up- she grew up with Tupac.
Right. So do you believe she owns a gun?
Absolutely not. And guess this is how easy the world is, guys. Show me a photo of you holding a gun. That's all. That's all you have to do. Just show me. No, I don't believe
Okay,
her.
so-
I would have been like me and you. We have guns. I would like, yo, Glock 9mm. I have the.
There
the
she is, bro. That's a believable photo. Everyone knows that. Hello.
Oh, so she does. That's
Oh
it.
yeah,
Let's move on.
guys. Yo,
Let's move on.
Why would this would this be a
Because
talking point
that's
she wants to endorse?
What she's trying to do, here's what she's trying to do. She used to be not for fracking. Now she is. She used to be about taking your guns if necessary. Now she's owns a Glock and she shoots it all
Yep.
the time about at a range, apparently. She used to be against, she used to be for high taxes. Now she's all about entrepreneurs. And she says, I'm a capitalist. She said that yesterday on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
I'm a true capitalist. Listen, it's not a good look. Nobody believes you. No one believes you.
Can I say one thing though, Pat?
Yeah, go
The
for it.
scary thing, I don't want to say sad. The scary thing is people are believing her. And that's how she is right now leading in the national polls. And that's what's
But
insane.
who? The people, here's a question.
Yeah.
The people that matter, do they believe her?
That's
Like,
what-
I'm talking about the people that are going to matter in the election. Like right now, if you go to vtnews.ai,
Yep.
Rob, if you could just go to VT News, click on the homepage, okay? This is the homepage. If you go on vtnews.ai and you can go to the bottom right, okay, and click on the election in the U.S., click on that and go to it, zoom out, right here, okay? As of right now, this is right now, the national poll shows she's ahead by 1.4, okay? But if you go to Arizona, click on Arizona,
By the way,
it tells
1.4 is
you
not good.
Trump's up. Look at all those places Trump's up. These are many different polls. Tom, you want to break this down for everybody and go one by one by one?
Yeah, what we do, VT Analytics, we pull together polling data. We look at the background. We want polls that are recent from pollsters, liberal pollsters, conservative pollsters, but we want the ones that have shown themselves to be more accurate in the 2020 election and the 2022 midterm election. So we pull those most recent. We put the dates up, the margin of error, all the data up there. And right now, Arizona, 2.7 for Trump on the most recent polls. That's what we see. You go to Georgia, it's going to be much tighter, Rob. And Rob can just step through these battleground sets. Georgia is dead tied, at least according to the current polls. Michigan, as you would expect, out there ruled Trump. Sliver. Nevada with all the union right now, we think that's hers.
She's
but
winning
then you go
Nevada.
to North Carolina. Now that's another story there because it's 1.3 up, but we have a lot of voters, unfortunately, that are
Tom,
tragically
why is
impacted.
Atlas Intel, who is the most accurate last time, why are they saying Harris is up 2.4 in North Carolina?
Atlas Intel's is pulling out the stops, and they did, as you take a look at it, 1,173, and they also said that it was a full margin of error of 3, so that's anywhere from 0.6 for Trump, 0.4 for Harris, but Atlas Intel is, you go take a look at what they pulled, and they pulled one that was more urban, it's a little more urban, but that's what we're looking
But
at.
Tom, you didn't answer my question. Here's what I'm asking. Atlas Intel, that last time had the smallest margin of error over everybody. CNN had the worst. LA Times had the worst. WAPO had the Post worse. Atlas Intel is saying that she's up 2.4 in Carolina. That's a lot of credibility for these guys. These are not a left-wing place.
That's right. We accept that poll because we know North Carolina and Georgia are going to be close.
Okay, so go to the next one, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, this one, we actually are in lines up with, you see the most recent of all of these is the Emerson and the Trafalgar. Trafalgar, 926 and 929. That's Trump 3. We believe, especially after what you've seen over the weekend, we're anxious to see the new polls coming out of Pennsylvania after the big rally. But we're putting them all up there. The good.
Go Wisconsin. Go to Wisconsin to see what that looks like. And in Wisconsin is going Harris. And even we believe that as well.
Tom, was Pennsylvania normally Democratic?
Pennsylvania, by the way, thank you for asking that. That's not a planted question. I'll give you the answer. Pennsylvania is increasingly becoming purple. If you look at the last 3 elections and you look at central Pennsylvania and the suburbs that are around Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, there is more Hispanic and black vote heading conservative. And so Pennsylvania has been becoming purple. And people are saying right now that it is light purple. It is not the blue stronghold that it was for 5 elections prior to 2016.
Well, can I give you just a little perspective? You said earlier, well, it seems like she's pulling ahead, or, it seems like it's breaking through. It's actually not. I always follow the Vegas polls. For the first time in almost 2 months, Trump has finally pulled ahead of Kamala in terms of Vegas. I'm not sure what this one is, but it's been neck and neck this entire time, but he's basically inching a little bit higher. Now, you've seen how Kamala, Rob, I sent you this on Wall Street Journal. How Kamala's like, I was working class family. Yeah.
With
I was born in the working class. Well, in a ironic twist, the number one story on the Wall Street Journal right now is Kamala Harris struggling to break through with the working class. And her inner circle is basically saying, we need to do better. Crucial states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, which we just discussed, basically it's not coalescing how they basically wanted her to do this.
Or historically,
exactly. So, I don't know. Is this her ceiling is my question. After the 60 minutes, essentially a debacle, has she peaked? We'll find out.
Well, there's a lot of discussion on the strategy that they're putting in place. Why is she going? She is not speaking to her own people this week. She is bouncing around on comedy podcasts. They are looking for other groups of voters at the edge. And I happen to think on one hand, I kind of laugh at the strategy that I see that you're putting forth this week. But on the other hand, because I'm like, why would you go on that podcast? My gosh, why don't you go on a podcast that talks about substance and at least gives people from the middle an opportunity to talk? Instead, you go on Call Her Daddy.
You're questioning why she would do that?
Well, she's doing that trying to get to different groups of voters.
Is this her asking why you agreed to do this?
With Alex Cooper, right?
Yes, this is why you agreed to do this podcast.
Go for it.
I'm curious, you don't do too many long form interviews. What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this thing right, which is one of the best ways to communicate with people is to be real, and to talk about the things that people really care about. I mean, what I love about what you do is that your voice in your show is really about your listeners. And I think especially now, this is a moment in the country and in life where people really want to know they're seen and heard and that they're part of a community. That they're not out there alone.
Did you see her on
Well, I mean, getting real is important. What you really didn't do at the border, what you really did with Willie Brown, what you're really talking about here, how you're really flip-flopping to look like Trump.
Rob, go to the last clip with economy. Go to the last clip with economy, and then we'll move on to the next topic with Musk and Tucker.
She talks quietly to people in Congress, not out loud, quietly. By the way, she was on Stephen Colbert as well, Pat. You want to talk about cringe? Because she's doing those rounds, like he said. Call Her Daddy, Stephen Colbert. Have you seen this? This is just... Brace yourself for the level of cringe. And listen to him. Obviously, he's a leftist shill, but check this one out, Pat.
What is it that is, to coin a phrase, great about America and that kindles your love for it?
He used Kindle.
There's so much. There's so much. Oh. And you're right. And I have the blessing and privilege of traveling all over our country. And in particular, in these years where we have witnessed so-called leaders attempting to create division between us. I meet people who are just the people who are the ones who are the most optimistic.
I got it. I mean, the point is, but when it go back to the economy point, when he's asking her about economy, how are you going to get it done? Like, this isn't lip service. How are you going to get it done? And she does not have an answer.
No, she said she's going to just take billionaires and millionaires and just tax the hell out of them.
Right.
That's what's your goal.
Tom, any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Yeah, I do. And I would like to go back to CBS for a second. CBS is sitting number 3 in the ratings. On an average night, ABC gets almost 8 million viewers, NBC 6, and CBS barely 4.2. So they're literally in third place. And they took it in the chops after Margaret Brennan looked so terrible and Norah O'Donnell, who is the lead host of the debate, looked less than terrible, but still really bad. CBS took a lot of heat for that. And at the end of the day, CBS also needs to think about CBS. They're running a business. And I think, and 60 Minutes, CBS, I think they came out on this, and Bill Whitaker, and they're trying to show journalistic integrity. And I think that's what they were trying to do. Now, they all have a relapse tomorrow morning and they get back to cheering for one side. But I was thinking about this a little bit more strategically and thinking about just CBS and as a business, Pat, and thinking this is where CBS has to come back up and say, man, we got to show America that they should be watching us because they're not getting viewers.
So let me ask you, what is the chance that 60 Minutes is going to apologize to Trump for not talking about the Hunter Biden laptop and saying it was wrong?
Minus 4,000%.
Okay, and what's the chances that they think that Trump's going to see this and say they were tough on her, that now I'll agree to come and be on 60 Minutes?
I think they're trying to bait him that way, yes.
Wow. I agree. That's why I think this was a tough interview, because you know what it is at the end of the day? You know what wins at the end of the day that makes everybody honest? Here's what wins at the end of the day. If you don't get ratings and people are not watching what you're doing, you're out of business. And if you're not getting eyeballs, people sit there and say, your customers are not happy. They will go elsewhere. You can keep doing these bogus interviews. No one likes you. They're going to go to somebody that's doing real interviews. Ratings are real. Customers are the most important voters in America. Period. You can say whatever you want. They're not going to change. Let me go to another story here. With regards to Rob, if you can go up to the Musk and Tucker interview and pull up the clip where he's like, look, I think I'm going to get, pull up any one of them. Pull up any one of them. Go ahead. Play this one here. By the way, this reminds me of the old Apple commercial. I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah. Go ahead.
He loses, man. What?
You're fucked, dude. I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like, yo,
yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
Because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, I get...
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know.
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call her, The machine that the Kamala puppet represents.
Yeah, she's irrelevant. I mean, she's not even...
No, I made a joke, which I realized I deleted, which is like nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
Just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly. That's
a great point.
Just get another puppet.
It's no point in killing.
It's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden. It would be pointless.
There's this lady that just keeps coming in here.
You actually put that up?
Yeah. Now, some people interpreted it as though I was calling for people to
of course.
assassinate her, but I was like, no, even. I was like, doesn't it seem strange that no one's even bothered to try?
It's not worth it.
I mean,
there's an endless supply.
Yeah, like nobody would. It's absurd.
It could be anybody.
You can pause it. By the way, the fact that they released this, they're comfortable releasing this.
Yeah.
This is not accidental being released. And then play the other clip with why they don't want him.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Wow.
Yes.
Huh.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fast answer.
And Gates.
LinkedIn.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah, PayPal.
Yeah.
What kind of a laugh is that?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I know what you did, kind of a laugh. I know what you did last
Does he
summer.
seem nervous to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
Because of the
very far
disclosure that
left.
would follow?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think he's certainly ideologically not aligned with Trump anyway, but I think he is concerned about the Epstein situation.
Wow. That's I think, okay. Let's be honest. I saw the entire interview. They touched everything from the border to they hit so many issues. This is dead serious, Pat. And this guy, he's not joking around. Everything was kind of fun and playful until this moment. And I think that Trump is such a threat because besides the redemption and putting everybody out, think about all the people that don't want him in, Pat. The Department of Justice, all the deep state people that are in there, everybody in the FBI. How many 51 former intel agents that did the Hunter Biden laptop? He's coming for all these people. I think one of the main ones, the Epstein client list. And let's not forget what Melinda Gates, because he mentioned Gates at the end, Pat. Melinda Gates said one of the main reasons she left her husband, Bill Gates, is because his relationship with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. She said he was abhorrent. She said she felt he was evil personified, and she met him one time, and she felt evil from him. And these guys are best friends, and I think it's one of the main reasons that they're fearing this guy, and he's absolutely right. And he said it. It's because of that. And God knows what he knows with all the Twitter files that he has, all the direct messages from all these people.
Well, you know what's interesting, and it's gonna seem like so obvious at this point, but about, I don't know, 6 to 9 months ago, PBD made a prediction, and it's becoming abundantly clear. Pat said, and this was from now, you're gonna be like, of course I see it now, but he said, watch Trump, Tucker, and Elon come together.
I remember that.
And sort of form some this uniformity
Alliance.
Transformers. But the
I
reason
said this a year and a half ago.
Okay, so was it that long ago?
Yeah.
But the reason you made that prediction at that time is because it was almost a
I said
little
it a
far-fetched.
month after he got fired from Fox, which would have been what, May of 2023.
Okay, gotcha.
Over a year.
So it felt like yesterday, Pat. But at the time, it was like, whoa, why would this happen? What's going on here? But the reality is this. Because of this administration, because of the DEI, ESG, woke mind virus, LGBTQIA, he, him, they, them, all that, you have people like Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, just going with common sense, being like, yeah, I was not a Trump guy, clearly. But at this point, I am, what do you call himself? Dark MAGA? Like he's all in on MAGA. He was at the Butler
the rally.
At the rally on stage, jumping around. And, we're starting to see some of the reasons why. But do you remember when, this had been in 2020, 2021, Biden did the EV council, didn't invite Elon Musk. Weird, okay. All of a sudden, he moves out of California, taxes, regulation. Obviously, he's got a bone to pick with Kamala and Gavin Newsom. We know that. But then the straw that broke the camel's back with Elon was that one of his kids transitioned, and he basically said on, I think, the conversation with Jordan Peterson, my mission in life is to go after the woke mind virus. And then on top of that, the coup de grace is the Twitter free speech thing. Elon Musk has gone from basically, I would say, a liberal, center-left Democrat to a full-on MAGA in 4 short years. Not because of Trump, but because of the Biden-Harris administration.
And I think, listen, Elon is not only one of the most successful, he's one of the smartest dudes out there. He warned in this interview, Pat, that if Kamala Harris wins, it's over. It's over because of the 700% influx of illegals in all these swing states and all these battleground states. He put up a chart. He put it on X. He posted it. It was the scariest thing. And he's telling them, he's like, this is why it's so pivotal. This election matters more than any of them, because if they win, it's a wrap.
I was just going to ask you guys that.
Yeah, because Adam, think about it. These people that are here, those 20 million, I think it's more, their kids are going to have kids, and it's going to keep going, and they're having kids. They're all going to vote Democrat, and it's a wrap. That's why, and I hate when people go, well, every election is important. It's not like this. It's never been like this, with technology being where it's at, and the fact that in California, Gavin Newsom passed, now it's a law. It is illegal to even ask for identification if people are going to vote. He even talked about this here. And Tucker was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's made it He goes, one of his friends, Elon's friends, went to go vote, and they go, we can't even ask you for your ID.
Well, it's
to
California
vote.
for you.
California
But
is
Vinny,
finished.
you bring up a good point. I was going to ask Pat and the guys, every 4 years they say, this is the most important election. This is the most important election. They'll do it in 2024. They'll do it in 28. They'll do it in 32. But is it actually this time around the most important election of our lifetime?
In Georgia, are you planning on having kids?
I am, sir.
Yes.
If the answer is you're planning on having kids and you want to build a family and you want somebody that your kids have a good future without being groomed, there's no question about it. This is the most important election of our lifetime, in my opinion. I can't think of a more important election in my lifetime than this one. Don't get me wrong. Everybody says it. But one, he was asked the question saying, she was asked the question saying, you were not even on 60 Minutes. You were not even a candidate. Like, how do you all of a sudden become a candidate? You were the way you were chosen was not in a way where you worked hard for it. You didn't go campaign for this. This has never happened in the history of the company. She's not the president. Every time they say he's a puppet, right? And and you'll sit there, you're like, was Obama a puppet? Maybe to some of the money people, but I think Obama actually also had his own vision of what he wanted to do, okay? Do I think about was President Bush a puppet? Maybe. He was in the shadow of his father, and Dick Cheney had all the influence. You guys saw the movie Vice, and, Dick Cheney was supposed to be the most evil man of all time, and Christian Bale says, hey, thank you so much for allowing me to play the devil. Cool. That's what he said when he won the award. You remember that? Now, you know who's campaigning with the devil's daughter? Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Did you hear
She's
what
with
Liz Cheney said yesterday? Liz Cheney yesterday, they asked her a question. They said, did you ever think you would campaign with Kamala 4 years ago? No, I never thought I was going to campaign. But when I see the Constitution that's in a threat, right there, it's that one right there. That one right there. Click.
So on OPP is in the back.
But here's the question, though. The question, was it really?
OPP was.
Yeah. It used to be Mayor Brown's back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. It was OPP.
But it's philosophical conversation right there. Only you have to be 44.
You have to be 44 to know what
46,
OPP is.
Yeah. But no, going back to it, is when you think something like this, and we're supposed to think Dick Cheney was the devil, but not the devil's daughter is supporting her. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So you think about puppets. Was Trump a puppet? He's obviously anti-establishment.
No.
Was Bush a puppet? Was Biden a puppet? Yeah, Biden was a puppet. At the level of Kamala? No. He wasn't at the level of Kamala. Okay? I mean, this is the ultimate of the ultimate of the ultimate of the ultimate. There's been no competition. There's been no primary. You were just given a job. Yep. It's like you got 4 kids, okay? Your oldest son knew you when you had nothing, okay? And he lived with you when you had nothing. Your second son experienced when he started making $250,000. You're an executive now, you're doing okay. You went to nicer restaurants. Your third child saw when you become the CEO of the company, you got some shares and, company went public, now you're worth $10 million. Your fourth kid is now experiencing with the next exit you had, now you're worth $100 million. And then you decide to have your fourth kid run the business.
Huh. Yeah. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen anything. They haven't done anything.
And this kid has had no competition with the other 3.
Yeah.
It's not like they all had to go through an interview process, the primary. No. Go run the company.
Yeah.
So when you ask the question, in that sense, this is deeply concerning. And I get what Musk is talking about. By the way, do you see Musk playing games? Musk is laughing. Yeah. You can tell Musk is like, look, man, I'm doing my part. If I do my part, if I don't, I'm going to go to jail. It is what it is. I'm good with it. I'm just enjoying the journey, and I'm going to do my part. The way he's playing is a very different way than on this other side. They're afraid of losing control. Mm-hmm. The right has no control of nothing. Think about it. Yep. For somebody that's in the middle listening to this here, the left controls media. The left controls the DOJ, the CIA. The establishment controls those institutions. Trump does not control any of that. None of that. Tell me who he has inside on CIA helping him out. Tell me who he has on the FBI side. Tell me who he has on the IRS side. Who? Is that what their game is? Their game isn't control. Their game is leave me alone and let me get to work. But a spin job man, they're doing a phenomenal job spinning it.
PBD, you
Adam.
bring up such an interesting point here about, all right, do you plan on having kids? You know what's so interesting? The number one thing that's going to determine this election is straight up the gender divide. Men are overwhelmingly going with Trump, and women are overwhelmingly going with Kamala. So if Kamala wins, it's because women are prioritizing abortion and reproductive rights above the economy, immigration, wars, everything. Ladies, that's your choice. But here's the most ironic part. Just this past week or so, who's Trump hanging out with? Who's Kamala hanging out with? Trump's hanging out with Elon Musk. He's hanging out with Tucker Carlson. He's hanging out with Ben Shapiro. Whereas Kamala's hanging out with Taylor Swifts of the world, Call Her Daddy, the Chelsea Handlers. Look at who's endorsing them. Here's the funny part. Between Kamala Harris, Call Her Daddy, Taylor Swift, Chelsea Handler, a total of 0 children. 0 children. You put together Trump, Elon Musk, 11 kids, Trump's 5 kids, Tucker Carlson's got 4 kids, Ben Shapiro, I think, has 4 or 5 kids. That's 25 kids. So you tell me, who's the party of family values?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting dynamic here.
Great point. I didn't even realize that. 0.
Yeah.
0 kids.
So when
But I adopted, adults. So
now, when you think about issues like that with family, yeah, this could be the most important election of our lifetime. Let's go to the next one. Florida. We're about to get hit. We just got hit last week. Helene. 2 million people in surrounding areas, I think, don't have any power. Let me give you some stats here that I have. 2 million don't have a power. 150,000 people have applied for FEMA assistance, if I'm not mistaken. 250,000 people still don't have any power. 2 million went out, but 250,000 people haven't had it for about a week. 400-mile radius was the hurricane. The closest one we had to this one was Katrina. That was also 400-mile in radius. You look at the pictures, it just doesn't look right with what happened. And the criticism that's coming with FEMA while we're going through this is that they're not doing anything about it. By the way, only 2% of the houses that were impacted by the Hurricane Helene have homeowners insurance. I'm sorry, not homeowners, have flood insurance. Only 2%. You know what that means? You have a $300,000 house, gone. And you don't have the money. It's wiped out. And FEMA's giving them what? $750. You know, I thought it was $750 per person in the house. It's $750 per household. Jeez. If you live in a house with 6 people, it's just $750. Okay, while this is taking place. However, as if that wasn't bad enough already, now you got Hurricane Milton on its way. And I know you've done a couple skits that's funny and all this other stuff. There's nothing funny about this. This is now Cat 5, and it's at a point. By the way, these are people leaving Tampa. They're literally leaving Tampa. This is a good picture. I saw pictures with traffic that was, it was horrible. And Rob, if you can pull up the mayor of Tampa, what she just said in an interview yesterday with CNN, if you can pull that up. She's being interviewed, and she's being asked, hey, how bad is it? Look what she says. She doesn't flinch. Listen to this.
It's halfway through this.
This is
it's right
literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow. I mean, that is an incredibly blunt message. And I know you have a lot of experience dealing with these storms.
Watch
you don't
this.
say something like that lightly, Mayor.
She tries to make it political.
I've never said that. And 10 to 12 foot surge. If this takes a jog to the south, that's going to save us from the storm surge. But it stays on the track that it's projected to be on right now, or if it goes a bit north, would be even worse. Some of the predictions are saying that Pinellas County, to the south of us, the entire county is going to be underwater. So this is something that I have never seen in my life.
By the way,
and I can tell
right
you
there.
that.
So she asked her question, says, so what do you think about all this stuff with political, that they're not doing this and Kamala's not doing this? You know what the lady says? I actually like what she said. She says, no, that is not true. I'm in communication with the president, and our governor DeSantis has been very active on this, been helping us out. Rob, play the exchange with Kamala, what she says about DeSantis and how DeSantis responds, because I think there's a feud going on here between the two of them. Go ahead, Rob.
Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader
says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship. Instead of
Okay, so she's saying it's selfish, it's about political gamesmanship. Do you have one from Ron DeSantis, Rob? Go ahead and play this clip.
And we've been laser focused on leveraging all resources available, including from the federal government. And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish
Has she ever
is her
called
trying to
before?
blunder into this. No. And here's
Has
the
she ever
thing.
called before?
She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. Right. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games.
You can
and
pause
so
it right there.
She is
By
being.
the way, he's the reason why we live in Florida right now.
Yep.
Why at least I'm in Florida right now. He's the reason. Because this guy gets stuff done, period.
Yep.
If there's one thing about him, he may not be charismatic or charming or good on interviews or marketing or even doesn't like people. Like he doesn't like doing interviews. He just wants to be, he's a homebody with his
He's
wife
not
and kids.
presidential.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not. But I tell you, he's one hell of a governor. I mean, he could have a future, things could change and adjust, but he's one hell of a governor. Living in the state of Florida, knowing he's in charge and stuff like this happen, you don't have a lot to worry about. No one's going to move more quicker, more swift to get things done than this guy.
Yeah, he
He's
doesn't
that
need
good.
Kamala. This guy's been governor for, 6+ years now, maybe even longer. He doesn't need Kamala here. Here's what's interesting about this, getting back to the point of Tampa. Tampa has not been hit by a storm like this in over 100 years. The weirdest thing, I'm born and raised in Florida. I've dealt with Hurricane Andrew, hurricanes left and right. These two hurricanes that just came through, what was the one that just came through?
Helene.
And now Milton. This is a Category 5.
Almost 6. They're saying 6 too. It might hit-
Insane. But here's the most interesting thing. Every hurricane I've ever seen, fact check me, comes from Africa, comes west, comes through the Bahamas, comes through Jamaica, destroys the Caribbean, maybe hits Miami, maybe hits Fort Lauderdale, goes through the Gulf of Mexico, maybe goes up the Panhandle. This started in the Gulf of Mexico?
Weird.
I don't know what's going on here. I've never seen anything like this. And the fact that Tampa is a sitting duck, they've not been hit by a hurricane, I guess, in 100 years. It's a very unusual path, and I'm really praying for the people of Tampa.
I listen, and our hearts, our prayers, our everything goes out to these people. I mean, we're gonna feel it here as well. But you know what pisses me off the most is the fact that during all this, on the 4th, and I'm gonna get into it, Tony Blinken announced, our government, Joe Biden, $157 million to Lebanon. This was on the 4th. Meanwhile, parents were tying their children to trees because the water was rushing down so much. The parents were getting drifted off, Pat, and dying, and they were trying to save their children. All that is happening, and she goes up there and says, we're going to give $750 to a family as if that's going to do anything. So when we tell people that this administration, this government, doesn't care if you live or die, it's not just lip service, okay? And when we say America first, that's what America first has to be, okay? So far this year, Pat, and Rob, I sent you the graph. This is how much we don't have money to help Americans in North Carolina, in Florida, and all these places. So far this year, we've given $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, $1.9 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, and it keeps going. And $9,000 per illegal immigrant that has entered the United States. Okay, and we give them housing, we give them everything, and people that are dying and drowning in the United States, Tom, get $750, and then Alejandro
Not
Mayorkas
each, per household.
Alejandro Mayorkas, who I despise, earlier this year said, Pat, we're good. We're ready for hurricane season. Now he's saying we don't have the money. We don't have the money to help Americans. Now we're about to get hit again, and we are shit out of luck. I'm sorry for my language. And this is what bothers me, Pat. This is all of our tax money. All of our tax money, and then when we need it, where is it? So the analogy is this, Pat. You live in a house, you're putting your money in a piggy bank. You're filling it up for emergencies or whatever. You leave, Pat. Your parents are taking the money and giving it all to the neighbors. Neighbors. Then something, God forbid, happens to you, your car accident, you don't have insurance, and you're like, hey, mom and dad, I need the money. And they go, we gave it to all the neighbors. That's exactly what the hell they're doing with our money. So again, and I hate to bring it back to the voting, if you vote for these people, this is what's going to happen. We should be America first, not every other country. And now we're seeing it firsthand, Tom. Disaster is hitting, and they don't have money to help us.
I think it's the greatest crisis that any leader can have is when his people lose confidence in him. That's the greatest crisis a leader can have. When you're sitting there and the people around you don't have confidence in you because you've screwed up the vision, you've screwed up the execution, you hired poor performers, and suddenly now all the people around you lose confidence in you. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And I hope the American voters are paying attention to what's happening here. That first and foremost, America is a nation of charity. Americans have big hearts when it comes to this. And I pray that they are looking around and finding the reputable agencies that you can put in, because there's a lot of shysters that put a lot of BS out now, try to trick you into donations. Find the reputable organizations that you can help. You live in Oregon, you see this is happening, find the reputable organization, American Red Cross, whatever it is, that you could reach out to help with. Because Americans have a big heart, but I think Americans are smarter. I think that the political campaigns sometimes think that the voters are dumb enough to believe it. But I think they can believe with their eyes. Believe with your eyes what you're seeing. Local government and Ron DeSantis are doing a good job. You've got people on the ground that are trying to do a good job in North Carolina that were being impeded, and people were coming from the outside. Elon Musk bringing Starlink. Americans are not dumb.
So
and if you like the leadership you see on this, vote for 4 more years of it.
I got a couple things I want to ask you guys that we were researching yesterday. I got a few questions for you. So FEMA is under DHS, right?
Yes.
Department of Homeland Security.
Alejandro Mayorkas.
Department of Homeland Security has roughly $100 billion budget. Of the $100 billion budget that they have, last year's budget, 2023, towards FEMA was $29 billion. In 2022 was $27 billion. This year it's $20 billion. They kept $8 billion for previous damages and stuff that happened. No problem. As I'm going through this process of what's going on with Florida, I asked a few basic questions. And this is what we did. We sat yesterday and we just wrote some of these things down on how to judge and measure the effectiveness of a government agency. How are we supposed to measure? What questions should we ask with our taxpayer money? Number one, response time. How quickly have they responded? You know what Mayorkas said? He says, we knew about Helene a week before it happened. You had a week to prepare for it. Number two, allocation of funds. Where is the money going to? Okay. There's claims about the fact that $1 billion of the FEMA money went to immigrants. I'm going to read that to you because they're saying that was not the case. I'll actually read it to you from their website.
I love it. Thank
Number
you.
3, transparency. Where is the money? Where's the level of accountability? Number 4, proactiveness. How proactive are you guys being with this? You have 20,000 agents, right? Number 5, preparedness. You know this is Florida. You know this is hurricane season. Are you ready for it? 6, what kind of training do you offer to your personnel? Are they trained? Do they know what they're doing? Do they know how to go out and get things done? 7, supply drop. Back in the days, we used to be able to supply drop.
Yep.
Hey, humanitarian, let's go drop some food. Are we doing that?
Nope.
Apparently that's not happening. 8, what is FEMA's track record? Do you, the viewer watching this, do you trust their track record? Maybe this is their first screw up. Maybe they did a good job with Andrew in 92. Maybe they did a good job with Katrina in 05. Maybe they did a good job with Puerto Rico in 17 or California wildfire in 18 or, the pandemic in 2020. By the way, FEMA was started under President Carter, I think in 1979 is when he started it. That was his purpose. Next question. You got number 9. How's their customer service?
Cool.
Customer experience, communication. How are they dealing with us when we're asking questions? Are they getting back to people on time? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And last but not least, if the government's not doing a good job with it, then should we not allow the free market to respond to this? By the way, can you play the clip I just sent you, Rob? Here's Mayorkas saying 3 months ago, the key words, we are fully prepared. You have to read exactly what he says. Play the clip. He says, we are fully ready for hurricane season to come. Play the clip.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do.
This was 90 days ago.
This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well. And it's not just hurricanes and wildfires, also extreme heat, which certainly some parts of the United States are already experiencing.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration.
You can let it play. Keep playing it.
Spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
So check this out. They post this, right? And this scares the crap out of them to the point where if we go to FEMA's website, FEMA is so worried about what's going on right now with the amount of hate that again. Just go to the homepage. And then if you go look at that, go to the next page. You know how it swipes right? Just go to the next one. Those 3 buttons on the bottom, go to the next one, and then go to the next one and watch what the next one is. Okay? Rumor response. Click on that. Go to it. What do you mean rumor response? So they're trying to say we never gave that money to migrants. By the way, I have the notes here to read it to you on what they spend the money on. I have from their website. I have to find it, but I have it here. You know what it says verbatim on their website? That this money, Brandon, if you guys can send it to me, I know I have it somewhere here. There it is. I found it. Ready? So they have this program called the SSP. FEMA has a program called the SSP. Rob, just go online and type in SSP FEMA. SSP FEMA stands for Shelter and Services Program. This is for FEMA. I'm going to read it to you from their site. They give grants to local governments and nonprofits to take care of undocumented immigrants. Congress boosted the budget from $360 million last year to $650 million this year. Watch this. In the 2023 annual report says it provides shelter, such as hotel, motel, services, food, and transportation, including including plane tickets up to $700 a person. This is undocumented. By the way, when you go back to the last one you went on the FEMA side, Rob, there's a conversation about the fact that they have $73 billion of unaccounted money. I don't understand what that was all about, Rob. I want to read this to you. So this is right here, but Rob, can you do me a favor? Go, because you're on a different website. You got to go on the FEMA website that explains this. No, you won't Google it like that. No. There's no way you're going to use that title. Go back to it, Rob. Go back to it. Go to the bottom. Zoom in a little bit on that $73 billion. I want you to type in $73 billion in unliquidated funds because we need to read this from FEMA. Then type in there, okay? Rob, just go to Google and just type it. You're going to find it, buddy. Yeah, just copy paste and go to their website right there.
Gov.
Go to that one and type in 73 billion, Control F. Zoom in. Okay, so check this out. This is from their website, folks. This is not a blog. As of October 2022, FEMA estimates that 847 disasters declarations with approximately $73 billion in what?
Unliquidated funds remains
open. For this audit, we focused on 79 open disaster declarations from the list that were declared in 2012 or earlier out of the 79 and had 89 authorized grant programs open as of October 2022, totaled $8.3 billion of unliquidated funds. During the audit, FEMA completed the closure of 13 declarations of 16 grant programs associated with the open declarations in our spoke, returning an estimated $5.7 billion. What does this tell you? They have the money.
Of course.
If they wanted to do something with it. Tom, why don't you think they do? Why do you think there lacks the urgency?
I have got no idea why this game went over the weekend. There is, in a straight line basis, you usually have presidents and people running to the microphone and saying, I've declared it a disaster area. And then the president runs to the microphone because he wants points. I am giving Governor Vinny $1 billion in relief funds. I have also heard the cries of it's a disaster area. So normally it's very political, right? Governor wants credit, the mayor wants credit, president wants credit, and then you would hope that the governor and the mayor are very, very concerned about the people. Now you've got FEMA here ending up running a PR campaign on their own website because they're caught with their pants down.
That's right.
They're actually caught with their pants down. It's like, hey, wait a minute. What about all the time you said you wanted $70 million for this and you only used 64? Where's the money? And the time you had $85 million for this disaster and you only used 50. Where's the 35? And now they're coming up and doing this math and saying, oh, with all the stuff that was here, we returned estimated $5.7 million to the disaster relief fund. They spent that much money on food, for their own parties while I was talking here. This really is irritating that you've got this bureaucrat named Mayorkas who is standing there having like this public debate and argument and talking about we don't have the funds when they do have the funds. The truth is they did spend it on, and by the way, did you notice the new name they have for it? Remember, in government, make everything taste better by giving it a different name, such as non-citizen migrants. Did you catch that? They called them non-citizen migrants. Remember, it's not illegal aliens. Yeah. It was undocumented immigrants. Yeah. Now it's non-citizen migrants, doing everything you can to make it. They spent the money on those. They sent it to sanctuary cities. They did that, and now they're out. Yet, what most people don't understand, I believe he was talking to Congress when he was saying that. Pat, when sometimes you give a speech, they say, who's he really talking to? Yeah. He's talking to Congress. He's talking to Congress. You got to give me money, dudes. You got to give me money. They passed these Inflation Reduction Act that has a hidden briefcase full of cash that's going to Ukraine. We've done the autopsy on that stuff. And so now you got Mayorkas is basically, I think, in the middle of a political hurricane. Nope. Pun intended. Absolutely intended. While he's talking to Congress that he needs more money and making this very political. I don't think I'm on the page of like vote suppression. These are mostly red votes. These are there because that gets pretty hairy, and that could cause an incredible responsive turnout in the other direction.
But this comes down to one thing, and it's something that is probably the most important thing and part of this election, and that's just money and the math of where the money goes and budgeting. We see every year they kick the can down the road. Oh, we'll deal with this, put more on the credit card, put more on the credit card. What's the current U.S. federal debt? $34 trillion. By the time it's 2028, whoever the next president, expected to be almost $50 trillion. Like, how big of a hole are we trying to dig here? Now, what's interesting about how the sort of the budgeting works and the appropriations bill you put in there is that there's discretionary spending and the non-discretionary spending. So what's the non-discretionary spending? I learned this when I started doing money content in 2015. Non-discretionary spending are things that basically Congress has no control of. They don't do it each year. It's not a part of the budget. It's mandated by law. That's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, but discretionary spending, education, transportation, the environment, law enforcement, everything like that. Non-discretionary spending, you know what the budget is for that? Almost $4 trillion a year, $3.9 trillion. Discretionary spending, where Congress basically gets a vote every single year and they must approve it, $1.7 trillion. Now, to Vinny's point about how much should we give to foreign aid, how much should we give to domestic, here's something to consider. Do you know what percentage of discretionary spending goes to domestic versus foreign? This is actually important. What percentage of the $1.7 trillion stays in the country versus leaves the country?
How much leaves?
5%. So 95% stays in the country. When I talk about the discretionary spending, transportation, healthcare, not healthcare, environment, law enforcement, everything that's going like that, 1.6 trillion of the 1.7 trillion stays in the country. Now, if you ask the everyday American, they will agree with you. They'll be like, no, we need to keep all the money, the majority of the money in the country, help our people. Who wants to hear that FEMA's broke? Ridiculous, especially during hurricane season. Like, what are you thinking? But also understanding that only 5%.
Where are you going, bro?
I'm just saying that it's not as ridiculous as it seems. Like, if you do the math on it, only 5% of the $1.7 trillion of the discretionary spending.
I don't understand what you just said. So what does that have to do with them not having money that's been unaccounted for and unliquidated to spend on something like that?
That obviously they're not doing their budgeting correctly. But this has nothing to do with the foreign spending because...
my thing is
hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. This has to do with what they're choosing to spend money on non-discretionary spending. Now, if you ask me, I assume if we look under the hood here, I assume they spent a lot of money on some DEI bogus nonsense.
I still don't know where you're going.
Okay.
Here's what I'm trying.
What are you struggling with?
No, what I'm struggling with is I'm trying to help you with your struggles. Are you saying
I'm not struggling? I'm just giving you numbers.
Saying the fact that is your reason for saying that is the fact that money didn't go to Ukraine for the people that say make North Carolina Ukraine to get money. Is that what your argument was about?
That's not my argument. I'm saying only 5% of our total.
But what is your point? So we just went through all the history of stuff with FEMA. You decided to go there. I'm trying to get the climax.
Let me simplify it for our audience. We're under the impression from Vinny. I said to Vinny that all our money is going to Lebanon, to Ukraine, to everything. Well, it's only 5%. So the money that is staying in the country needs to be allocated better. Or maybe a budget needs to put less than 5% to foreign aid.
This is not the conversation at all.
I don't understand what you're talking about, Pat. We're talking about foreign spending versus domestic spending. Discretionary versus non-discretionary.
What part of everything I shared with had to do with foreign? Like, it's like
Vinny's
we're talking about...
entire rant was about foreign aid. How much money is going...
No, he said Lebanon, $150 million.
Lebanon just got on the
but
fourth.
Also Ukraine.
Yeah,
no. The biggest thing with the Lebanon case that he made, $150 million is nothing.
Yeah.
But the whole point, this is the point about him saying $150 million. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say, God forbid, someone you love just died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you need my help. And we're at a family gathering. An hour after somebody you love just died, I announce, hey guys, I'm giving Joey's best friend's cousins, sisters, best friends, brothers, high school teacher, $750,000 to help him out. That's the problem with what he's saying. The timing of after someone died, I'm giving a stranger $750,000. It's not the dollar amount. But let me bring it back. Here's a question I got. How much access to information do you think the director of CIA has?
Anything he's ever wanted.
Tom, how much access to information do you think the director of CIA has?
Everything, and plus he can make it up.
By the way, I can tell you, I don't appreciate the fact that CBS and the director of CIA decided to flirt with a conspiracy, because I don't like that they're doing that. But if they want to take responsibility for this, they can. Let me give you an idea what Brennan says. Can you pull up what Brennan once said the following? The head of CIA, the former head of CIA, said the following. He says, we currently have the technology with the potential to alter weather patterns. His words, not my words. He said this. Is this it, Rob? With him saying that?
I believe so.
Okay. So these are his words. Go ahead and play this clip.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels.
Right.
Wow. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere.
Can you move this? I don't know if this is
on the geopolitical.
I'm just trying. Go find a clip. Just type the keywords. Technologies potential to alter weather pattern. And if you can just go on Google, forget about Twitter. Twitter doesn't work well when we do searches like that. Weather pattern. Yeah, if you can do that. And you will find right there, second one. Click on that. I just want to show the clip, the quote. Okay. Show the quote that he says. So Brennan's words, if you can type in pattern, Control F pattern, there you go. The technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations, right? Okay. So I went a little bit deeper with this. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this all about? Then you know what we found out? Do you know there was an act in 1976 called the Weather Modification Act of 1976?
No.
Can you Google that, please?
Jeez.
This is, again, not me. This is the U.S. government came up with something called the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. You know what this is about? This was about if any company is participating to try to alter and modify the weather, you have to give us a warning 10 days in advance. This is what they came up with, by the way. Okay?
Oh, man.
It's called the Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. Let's go even deeper. Can you do me a favor and type in Operation Cyrus 70-year anniversary? Type in Operation 70-year anniversary. Craziest article, by the way. Did you see it or no? This one we have to read because it's a little bit weird, but I just have to read it to you. I found it here, Rob. It's called the 7. And by the way, what is crazy about this is the following. This is by far what's crazy about it the most. Pull up the clip I just sent you. This is from the website of NOAA. This is not a blog, folks. This is from the Department of Commerce, Atlantic Oceanographic and Meteorological Laboratory. Okay? My pronunciation's phenomenal today. 70-year anniversary of the first hurricane seeding experiment. What?
Wait.
Called Operation Project Cyrus. You go a little lower, I'll read the top and I'll go to the bottom paragraph below the chart. On the afternoon of October 13, 1947, an Air Force B-17 aircraft penetrated a hurricane 450 miles east of Jacksonville and dumped several pounds of crushed dry ice into the storm just to see what would happen. This was the first attempt to modify a tropical cyclone by seeding it with freezing nuclei. It was almost the last. Watch this. GE was involved in this, just so you know.
Wow.
You guys can read the rest of the article. Go down to the bottom right after the chart. Let's read it from right here. The scientists were eager to examine the storm the following day. However, when they flew to the predicted storm location, they had trouble locating the eye. After some hunting around, they found the hurricane center nearly 100 miles west of where they expected it to be. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn and was now moving due west. On top of that, it was strengthening. By the afternoon of the 15th, Hurricane King struck Savannah, Georgia. One person died. In the storm surged $2 million in damages. The public was outraged that the scientists had caused the storm to swerve into Georgia, and threats of lawsuits were thrown around. GE's case was not helped when the head of their laboratories of GE, Dr. Irving Langmuir, issued a statement that he was 99% sure the storm had changed course due to the seeding. The chief of weather, government, this is government now,
Okay.
chief of weather bureau, Dr. Francis, thought differently and appointed 3 of his weathermen to find a case where a hurricane had followed a similar track but had not been seeded. The case was published, demonstrating that hurricanes could swerve like that without the use of dry ice, and the threat of lawsuits eventually evaporated. What's the point here? Imagine you work for GE. You're the head of their laboratory, and they say, no, we did it.
Wow.
GE's like, what is the matter with you? Be quiet. You can't say we did it, right? But the government's chief bureau comes out and says, no, we checked it out. The man didn't influence this. What's my point here? Here's where I'm going with this. 7-year anniversary, go read that article. All I'm saying is this. You mean to tell me we don't have the technology at this point in 2024 with all the inventions that we've created to find a way to kill these things and slow them down? You mean we don't? I'm not even talking about creating it.
Which is on the table
Which
as well.
we know we can create
Of
it.
course.
CBS host who just was debating, what is her name? Have you seen the CBS
Nora.
clip with Michio Kaku? She said, we've done this.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right? She said, we've done this. It's not even us. That's the lady who was on the debate with, the what do you call it? I think she was on the VP debate, if I'm not mistaken. This is the interview. Watch this clip.
It's a bad version of it. Just so
Okay,
that
then
somebody
don't worry
recorded
about it.
off of
Anyways,
TV.
so they're even saying that these things happened in the past. She claimed that these things happened in the past. This is her 11 years ago. Forget about creating it. What I'm asking about is, in 2024, we don't have a way to prevent these things? And if we do, why are we not using them? Why not? Why are we not using some of these things to manipulate them to go a different way? I don't know. It's purely a question. But the more and more and more digging you do on government websites, they tell you, we have access to this. We've been working on this. And even the director of CIA says, we have something like this to work with. Tom.
Well, I think we all misunderstood the guy from GE. The guy from GE was paid to work in a lab to modify the weather, right?
Yes.
At the end of the year, you get your performance review to see if you get a raise or you get a bonus. And so what does he say? It worked. We did it. We partnered with the government. We put a bunch of dry ice in a B-17. We went up there and dropped this all, hyper-cooled the center of the storm. The storm turned. The next day, we went out looking for the storm. It was 100 miles over there. We're like, uh-oh. It turned west. But this guy is basically saying we have to understand this. He's saying, I work in a lab for GE on weather modification. It worked. So he wasn't being a whistleblower. He was just saying, well, this is my job, and it worked, and it turned toward there. Whereas now the government is like, no. Project Mockingbird and all these other things and the electric Kool-Aid acid test, we would never do such a thing. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And so the government comes out and goes, no, hang on. Meanwhile, they had already been trying that stuff previously in Vietnam, trying to extend the rainy season. So, and it's like sometimes experiments go bad, Remember the Bikini Atoll?
What's that?
That's where they launched a nuclear bomb and gave a bunch of military guys cancer and things like this.
Yeah, that's why Tom.
So we've done a lot of tests in our day and kind of messed people up in the process.
And that's why when people, Pat, like you bring this up, and there's people out there, because I've seen it, because I've had these conversations, especially with Brandon. People are like, "What? Now you're trying to say?" I'm like, yes. I'm talking about that same government that did what you're talking about. That gave LSD to our soldiers. That experiment with mind-altering MK Ultra type stuff. It happens, Pat. Then you have to ask the question. Like, what's besides not being able to stop it, them creating it? Because mind you, these are the same people that are saying, hey, this is because of climate change, are actually the ones changing the climate. They're the ones that can do it.
Allegedly. I'm not saying that's the case.
I'm just saying, allegedly as well.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm at is the following. I'm at Harvard in 2015 at this OPM program I went to, Owner President Management Program. I've never gone to Harvard as a student. My GPA was 1.8. This is not, I went to Harvard.
Yeah.
But when I'm there, one of my classmates, Finney, was from Lagos, Tom. One of my classmates was from Lagos. 8 of us were asked to go up and present a certain project we're working on to raise money.
Yeah.
He was one of them, I was one of them, and 6 other guys went up. This guy got up and he says, I have invented that with a $100 million investment into a plant, I can build and produce water from thin air. And he wasn't kidding. And shows this video, and you say, wow. He says, yeah. And then I'm watching the room. I'm not in the water making business.
Yeah.
I'm in the insurance business. And I'm like, yeah, that technology's been around. Yeah, that technology. And everybody starts talking. So the concern with water is we have the technology to be able to make it. There are plenty of advanced technologies for us to be able to do a lot of different things. Why are we not testing it and using it? Maybe we are. And if we are and they're not telling us, maybe that's what's also causing something that's 120 miles to go to 185 miles.
Yep.
Maybe they're doing that. We don't know that, right? So these are some of the things that maybe the government doesn't want us to know because they don't want to freak us out. And sometimes some projects, some assignments get, And
remember what happened in Dubai, like 3 months
flooding.
ago? It was the worst
because they're
rain
cloud
or
seeding.
drought.
Yeah.
And then when people were basically allegedly saying it was be cloud seeding, I think they were shutting it down. I think some clips, some YouTube stuff, some government intervention. What's wrong with asking questions, I think is what we're basically saying. I don't know what's going on here, but there's some evidence that there could be some Foul play.
Let me go to the next story here. So Amazon could cut 14,000 managers soon and save $3 billion a year, according to Morgan Stanley. Andy Jassy, their CEO, plans to increase the ratio of individual contributors to managers by at least 15% by Q1 of 2025, cut down on unnecessary organizational layers, and boost agility. Morgan Stanley estimates that this could mean roughly 13,834 managers' roles eliminated, saving anywhere between 2.1 to 3.6 billion a year. Morgan Stanley projects Amazon's management workforce could drop from 105,000 to 91,000. That's a big number, assuming management accounts for 7% of Amazon's employees. Amazon told Business Insider that it's an ideal time for reduction, as every team with Amazon will review its structure to eliminate roles that are no longer required. Cost savings per manager cuts are estimated $200,000 to $350,000 annually, which could save Amazon 3 to 5% of its 2025 operating profit. The company aims to strengthen culture and streamline operations by removing layers and flattening the organization. Tom.
So, what's happening with Amazon is every time a company gets big, they look for points of efficiency. And Amazon has been maniacal about looking for efficiency. I mean, that's how they are like, how do they make a buck by charging you? What is it for Prime now annually? I don't know.
$170 or something like that?
Yeah.
Is it 100? I don't know.
So you pay that, and then you don't pay shipping on anything, that you receive all year. And so they have to make efficiencies to make this work. Also, they're basically a low-margin grocery store connected to a very high-margin, IT services company, AWS. And so Amazon is looking around and saying, how do we get more efficient? And they have been maniacs about it. And this is what they've done. Now what they're doing is they're saying, hey, some of these jobs will be eliminated. And instead of 6 people, you'll manage 7. But we've got everything. We have all of our policies and procedures lined up. So if you have 7 good people behaving themselves, you should be able to do that. And something else happened that's connected to this, PBD. Who told everybody to shut up? It's a 5-day work week, and we are in the office last month.
Amazon?
Yes, they did. Remember?
Andy Jassy.
RTO, return to office. So now that returning to office, there's a manager present where you can all manage people, and they're discovering, hey, this is what it is. And so this is normal, and this is typical. But guess what? It's a headline when people are losing jobs. But so reporters in the morning don't like Amazon to lose the jobs, but reporters in the afternoon like the fact that it's in their 401k and their IRA.
You know what he's saying? He's saying if you have a 401k and IRA, Amazon stock is probably about to go up because that's more profit that comes into the company. Okay. And you know what else it tells you? Is the fact that standard was made, remote work, then you have the technology that's allowing for a lot of things that can happen
fast
through technology, much faster than that. And new bosses in town suggesting to everybody, this is how we're going to be doing moving forward. He's not a new boss, but Andy Jassy is not Jeff Bezos. He got his job because he just crushed it with AWS.
He's a super geek.
He crushed it with but Rob, can you see how long Andy Jassy has been with the company? How long has Andy Jassy been with Amazon? Yeah, I'm curious. How long has he been there? He joined Amazon in 97. Wow, good for him. 17 years. And he went from private to family. Good for him. Good for the stat. He went from where he was at to where he's at today. 14,000 managers. This is not just jobs. Are gone from Amazon. Adam, did you have thoughts or no?
No, I think the Andy Jassy thing was a great point by Tom. It's returning to office.
There you go. Okay, next story. Here we go. I covered that one already. Diddy issues mount as Tupac's family investigates alleged link to death. Hire Alec, Baldwin's Rust lawyer. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. Tupac Shakur's family has hired Harvard-trained attorney Alec Spiro. He's a stud of a guy. You've met him, by the way. Known for representing Alec Baldwin in the Rust manslaughter case to investigate potential links between Sean Diddy Combs and Tupac's 1996 murder. Spiro, who has a roster of Hollywood clients, is tasked with exploring allegations involving Combs in Tupac's death nearly 30 years ago. Shakur was shot on September 7, 1996 in a drive-by while riding with Death Row Records co-founder Suge Knight. The unsolved case has spurred speculation for decades, and last year, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was indicted on charges of open murder in connection with shooting, reigniting the investigation. As the investigation into Tupac's death intensifies, Comey faces serious legal troubles. He was arrested on September 16 and charged with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation, and engage in prostitution. If convicted, Combs could face up to life in prison. Thoughts on this year with Tupac? Alex Spiro is not a regular guy to come after you. Go ahead, Vinny.
I don't know, Pat. It just everything is just slowly coming out. I don't. But what was, because Pat, who'd you interview that the link between him, Biggie, and Tupac came out?
Greg Kading.
And what was like the synopsis was? What was the end game of it?
Well, I mean, the end game is there could be a possible link between Diddy and Tupac being dead.
And here's my thing: what does he gain from killing him, and then potentially even with Biggie? That's what with this whole thing. That's what, besides all the sex stuff and the oil and all the sex tapes and all that stuff. My thing was the killing of him, and then potentially killing of Biggie Smalls. Like they're saying that he had a hand in both.
No, it's somewhere between a gang war and a market share war is basically what it was, what it comes down to. You have power, you have the East. First of all, you have East versus West, so you have human egos and people that want to be the number one involved, number one. Number two, you've got basically a war for control going on in the recording industry that way, and people that were exploiting each other. And then you've got people that just on the street level didn't like each other. So it's a combination of popularity, market share, and everything else. And people have dove into it. And I thought the guy that Pat interviewed, who went through the board and everything, and he even said at the end of it, he said, I believe that at this time, isn't that what he said, Pat? I believe at this time, Diddy was in fear for his own life, that Diddy believed that there were people trying to hit Diddy.
Yeah, I mean, the video's out there for you to watch. But the point is, can you go to Alex Spiro, Rob? Just type in Alex Spiro to see who he is. This is him. You met him, Vinny. I'll remind you after the show when you met him.
Okay.
Can you zoom into his profile? If there's a Wikipedia on him. Right there, to the left, zoom in. So, New York guy, represented, celebrity, Elon, Jay-Z, Mr. Beast, Eric Adams, Alec Baldwin. The guy's stacked. So when a guy on the opposite side brings a guy like him to come after you, your name is Diddy, and he's doing Tupac, let me tell you, I am so happy that this is taking place because I want to know exactly what the hell happened. Mm-hmm. What happened? In 2008, this guy received a JD from Harvard Law. During the program, he did a fellowship at CIA.
Whoa.
Okay. This is not a regular.
He's not a lightweight.
No. He's a very, Adam, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do. Well, in this entire context with Diddy, this is about to be the worst takedown of a public figure we've ever seen. So Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Cosby, even things like Andrew Tate, Russell Brand, R. Kelly, we know what that guy did, Kevin Spacey. None of those guys have the popularity, the fame, the allure, and the money that Diddy has. It's so unique with Diddy because, all right, Epstein, very weird situation, but nobody knew who Epstein was. What's going on there? Harvey Weinstein, all right, he was funding all these projects in Hollywood, but he wasn't a face of anything like that. R. Kelly, I mean, he hasn't really been necessarily relevant in a decade or two. Andrew Tate, super famous, still, not guilty, by the way, but that's a very recent thing. Kevin Spacey, I don't even know what happened with that. I think he's innocent. Well, it remains to be seen. But Diddy? Things are so bad for Diddy now. You have dead people from 28 years ago being like, yeah, let's investigate more with Diddy. This guy is completely finished, and there's no coming back for Diddy. That's what
Do you think, Adam, honest question, do you think anything happens to him while he's in prison? Just dead serious.
Anyone who says, no way, is completely naive. And anyone who's like 100% it's going to happen is also a little aggressive. But this Diddy situation, unbelievable.
Yeah, there's like here. Sex tapes right now getting potentially getting sold online. It just gets worse and worse and worse. But you are right, Pat. That would be like a definitively evidence. Boom, he had a hand in it. It's over for him.
Let's go to the next story. Trump tells Israel to hit Iran first and worry about the rest later. And by the way, I don't know if you saw his picture with the yarmulke on yesterday. If you can pull up that picture with him and Ben Shapiro, Rob. While campaigning in Carolina, Donald Trump urged Israel to strike Iran's nuclear program first. Rob, do you have this clip? Is this it? Go ahead and play it. Go for it.
I listened to Biden yesterday. Since I went under the wing, I used to go under the wing of the aircraft. Nobody ever did that before. I did. All of a sudden, Biden started. But he only takes like a half a question. Usually can't answer it. But They asked him, what do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that what you're supposed to hit? I mean, it's the biggest risk we have. Nuclear weapons, the power of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. You know, I rebuilt the entire military, jets, everything. I built it, including nuclear, and I hated to build the nuclear, but I got to know firsthand the power of that stuff. And I'll tell you what, we have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's where they should. That's what if they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But we'll find out whatever their plans are. But great question. Thank you very much.
Where was this speech and when was this speech?
It is what it is. Go ahead, Adam.
Guys, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. No, where was that speech at?
Where was it?
Yeah, was that
America? I don't know.
I'm just wondering where that was. But you saw where Trump was yesterday with Ben Shapiro. It was at the gravesite of probably the most famous rabbi in the last 100 years, the Rabbi Schneerson, basically praying on October 7th. But look, the fact that Trump is loudly and proudly exclaiming, attack Iran's nuclear sites is a complete game changer. Is that something that could potentially even happen? Because we know yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel and everything that's basically ensued since then. But what started off as just Israel in a war with Hamas, 1 year later, we're having a conversation. Is Israel going to attack Iran's nuclear capabilities or their oil refineries? And the reality is, as of last week, Iran sent 200 missiles into Israel. By the way, the first attack I think that happened in the spring was the first time that Iran has directly attacked Israel, and then Israel basically responded. Iran went again because
but this is Hezbollah with Iranian arms. It wasn't Iran launching them.
No. It was Iran, from Iran. Hezbollah, Iran. Yeah, no, they launched it from Iran. What's my point? Is that we're waiting on Israel to respond. Like, if history is going to teach us anything, the last time that Iran sent missiles from Iran into Israel, Israel responded. And now Iran did it again. So we're literally waiting on Iran's response. I'm sorry, on Israel's response. Now, where will they go after? The oil refinery, the nuclear capabilities, or will it be a tit-for-tat thing? But, Pat, in your perspective, has the Iranian regime ever been this close to being dismantled since 1979 if Israel attacks their nuclear capabilities or their oil refineries?
I thought Netanyahu was going to make a statement on Sunday. I thought on Sunday Netanyahu was going to hit Esfahan. I thought he was going to hit Abadan. I thought he was going to hit those two places on Sunday as a 1-year anniversary statement to make. Because, again, my opinion, if you're this far in a fight, if you go this far in a fight and you back out, why'd you go this far in the first place? It's my only question I got. You know, if
you're saying Israel or Iran going this far?
Again, I said this the other day, if you're in a bar fight, you take out a gun and you shoot once at a bar, and these other fighters and gangsters are over there, and you shoot one shot at the bar, and you break a bottle of Louis whatever, you a whistle pig. You're like, okay. What are you doing? And then you get out. I'm going to go home. Yeah. Bro, those 5 guys are coming after you in the next 24, 48 hours.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Finish it job.
If you went in, again, I'm not telling him what to do. All I'm saying is, if you're playing this hardcore, this far, 5,000 beepers, whatever it was, I don't know how many pages, 300 beepers, right? Yeah. At 3:31, all explode at the same time, and you saw the videos, and you're using this method of madness on the levels you're going, and Nasrallah gets killed. The new guy takes the job over Tom. You made a very good point. You're like, the guy that replaced Nasrallah gets killed, And then Tom's like the job interview, and nobody wants a job now because it's like,
nope, no, I'm good.
Hey, you're going to get a promotion?
No, I don't want.
I don't want
no,
the
no,
promotion,
I'm good.
right?
I'm good.
So I think I don't know. I think where he's going, and Trump's making a statement. Not a lot of people are happy. You know, some of the people that the people that are kind of like the what do you call it? The factions of why is he doing this? See, did they own him? And he's owned by this and all this other stuff. They're going to say that kind of stuff to him. You know what he's saying? Well, what do you want me to do? You want him to go wear a what do you call it? A turban? Is that what you want him to do? What? I mean, no. What I'm asking is, if he has to choose between wearing the yarmulke or the turban, what do you think he's going to wear? You think Trump's going to wear a turban like that and say, yeah. Here's what I'm doing. That's what's going to happen.
No.
So, but the moral of the story is, and by the way, to the people that get upset by him doing this, I don't think he could care less about whether you like it or not. He's making waves on defending America, making sure who loves America. That's the decision he's making. Very simple. I was supposed to be out of the country today. We're not supposed to be doing a podcast today. I'm supposed to be in Europe today to interview somebody. Rob was going to join me. We're going to go with a team of 6 or 7 of us. We're going to go out there and have a very interesting meeting that has to do with Iran, with a very high-up person in Iran. And last minute, they wouldn't let him and his 25 security members leave. Because originally, I was supposed to go to Iran to interview this person. And they called me and they said, you won't be safe if you come here.
Jeez.
We're going to go there. We had the conversation. But there's a lot of tension there. And I would like to see that place be in peace because there are a lot of families that are being affected by this, man. This is, we can all debate. And I like the way that guy debates, and he got you, and you got him. And that's great. When it comes down to people dying, there is no winning in the debate. It's about families. It's someone's kids. It's someone's mother. It's someone's father. This is nasty what's going on. And I'd like for the whole thing to stop. And we have some peace. And we don't have that right now. So I understand what he's trying to do and the positions he's making, but I think Netanyahu, if he's fully committed, he's got to go and, finish his job. If that's what was your vision, I'm surprised he hasn't yet. And I'm surprised he didn't do it on the 1-year anniversary because that would have been a statement to make. But maybe it's a way of him being unpredictable on when he does it.
Well,
I don't know.
I think the Ayatollahs who have basically lost billions of dollars over the last couple months, I mean, everything that they funded, the Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, have been dismantled. I mean, talk about ROI and investment time return, ITR. Iran, all the money they spent has basically just been dismantled. Now Iran is basically sitting there almost sort of like this is psychological warfare at this point, waiting for, like you mentioned, Netanyahu to respond. Yeah. And they will, Pat.
And they will, meaning what? Israel?
They're going to respond. If you're using history as a lesson here.
But if you've gone this far,
if they attack I see what you're saying. Like when you're basically saying, when are they going to do it? I'm basically saying they're going to do something. Listen. It's just a matter of when.
And Pat,
they're not just going to let Iran shoot missiles and be like, "Yeah, cool, we'll take it. Thanks, buddy."
And not to go on a tangent because he said Houthis. This is reminding me. Remember the Russian arms dealer, the merchant of debt that we released for Brittany Griner?
Yeah,
he's just found there. He's selling arms to the Houthi rebels and attacking. And I'm not laughing at it. I'm just saying we gave them the merchant of death. Guess what he's back to doing? Selling death.
Yeah,
just
but
FYI.
Hey, he was an arms dealer and he's back in business. Why is this a surprise?
But guess what? We saved the WNBA.
Yeah,
Tom.
exactly. At least
that's
we got
what
WNBA
we needed.
back.
We got Brittany Griner, whatever that person is now.
Anyways, okay. Well, gang, this has been a wild podcast. We covered a lot of different things. My voice is jacked up a little bit. I'm trying to save it for us to be able to do it on Thursday. Excited to see you guys with us November 5th, election night. Adam's got a special podcast that he's doing. But prior to you saying that, let me show you guys this. This Thursday, we haven't done it because it's not here yet. These hats, Future Looks Bright hats, these are numbered. Only 50 of them, okay? We will announce this on Thursday. I can't sell it to you right now because we don't have all of it in. Once it's in on Thursday, it's the white and gold Future Looks Bright with the USA hat and a Future Looks Bright, and it's numbered, and one person will get number 47. So it's going to be 47 is going to be a special one. Thursday, stay tuned. I'll announce it in the middle of the podcast, and it's going to be only 50 of them. They'll go in no time. Adam, tell us about the show you got going on today.
So real quick, having a conversation, I'm not even calling it a debate, a conversation amongst friends of friends of friends regarding the 1-year anniversary of October 7th. Jews, Muslims, Christians, Israelis, Palestinians, Middle Easterns, Americans having a conversation on the Soscast this evening. Tune in, watch for the link, and it's one goal is to bring solutions and see what we can do to actually try to have conversations and bring some sort of peace and dignity to what's going on in the Middle East right now. What time is it? It's coming out, it's being pre-recorded, so it's probably coming out tonight at 8 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
Stay tuned on Soscast. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.